Hey everybody, welcome back to another full self-driving beta video. My name is John. I'm really excited to be here. It's been a little while since I've been filming. I have been extremely busy, but getting ready for the holidays here. I don't think we're going to send out holiday cards, but I am going to be taking my car through the northwest suburbs here of Chicago, and I'm going to be taking it to a random waypoint. I have no idea where it's taking me, to be honest with you, and then over to a restaurant. This is a restaurant I've documented many times. I'm actually on my way to lunch, so I'm on my lunch break. So this is going to be a short video, but I wanted to push something out rather than nothing. I've got a lot of videos in the queue. They're not full self-driving videos. I did a paint video on my last one, and I've got one on kind of the front control arms. I had some issue with the suspension on my Model 3 at 77,000 miles. So that's coming up soon. If you're interested to hear about my experience there, I did have quite a bit of parts replaced, so that video is coming up soon. Anyway, we're gonna get started. I am in the parking lot. You can see someone just walked right behind us, and I think they're looking around to try to figure out what I'm doing, because I've got a camera mounted in front of my car. I'm filming 4K resolution here today, and hopefully this viewpoint is good for everybody. We are at the library, and we're gonna take it over to, like I said, a waypoint in a neighborhood residential area to start, and then over to this burrito restaurant. So let's go ahead and see if it can do this without any interventions or disengagements. I'm going to be hands off the wheel. You obviously can't see inside the cabin here, but I'm not going to be using my feet or my hands. I'm just going to be using my leg every so often to put some force on the steering wheel, because as of today, you still need to put some force on the steering wheel. We're going to go ahead and get started. All right, as you can see there, immediately the left turn signal goes on, and it's going at a nice slow speed. It turned the steering wheel, jerked it. Okay, now it's going back and forth. The steering wheel is kind of rocking back and forth, but it's slowing down. It's doing things appropriately, taking caution, looking to make sure it's clear, and it is clear. This area, generally speaking, doesn't have a whole lot of traffic, you know, next to the library, although this is kind of considered downtown Schaumburg area. And getting in the left turn lane here to go down Schaumburg Road, and then head over to this residential area. So for anybody that's new, thanks so much for joining. I document the progress of full self-driving as it moves along. I am still on version 11.4.8.1. Elon Musk mentioned that there would be 2 weeks before version 12 would come out. He replied to Holmar's blog. Omar had asked about that. I don't think it's going to come out before Christmas. That's just me. I thought originally it was going to come out and they were going to skip over this current version, but they did release this. And this has what they call a new video module, and I documented it in my live stream and then the video that I did in Michigan last. But I have not seen evidence of that. Now the acceleration through these turns right there, as soon as we got out on the road, it accelerated really assertively. That is definitely a difference I've noticed with this version compared to other versions. It seems to just kind of, as soon as it gets out there, it really takes off. That acceleration is very noticeable now. In the winter, that's going to be a problem. I really hope that it can recognize bad weather conditions, in other words, snow or debris on the road, because if it were to do that, my tires, I have about 40,000 miles on my tires, and if it starts doing that in the winter, I'm going to be slipping and sliding all over the place. So my winter videos are going to be limited. Speaking of winter, we are technically in the middle of winter here. It's December 11th. We have not had a lot of snow in this area. So let's just transition back to driving here. We're heading down Schaumburg Road, and it's pretty straight, a pretty straight shot here. We're going to be turning left on Salem. This is Salem, so it's going to be getting it over to the left. Left turn signal went on before it got into the left turn lane. That's a good thing. And now we're waiting here for this traffic to pass, and then we're going to be turning left. So let's see if it finds the right gap. Now, as a human driver, I might try to go for this one. Oh my gosh, is it going to do it? It decided to go for it. Wow. Okay, that was really close. So I will have to say, previous versions would not have done that. That was really a quick decision, and the cars were coming relatively fast, and it decided, hey, I'm going to go for it. And it went and executed. Previously as well, I would be very nervous in that situation, thinking that I would have to step on the accelerator, because sometimes in the past, what would happen is it would make a decision, but then it's like it didn't have a memory that it knew those cars were coming. So then it would see those cars coming and then freak out and slow down and try to like stop. And that was probably the worst thing that could possibly happen when you're doing a left turn through an intersection. But there it did it just really well. I was very pleased with that. So we're following behind an ambulance. Now this was not planned at all, but you can see here several things going on. We have the trash receptacles on the side of the road. They're all showing up on the screen. You gotta love that they added that little thing into the display. And this is something really interesting. I did not plan this. We have a four-way stop, and you can see these stop signs have the word stop written on the front and the back. So what you're gonna see here, and unless this has been fixed, this has been an issue for a very long time, is it will start to go through this intersection. It's our turn. And then halfway through, it's gonna stop again. Let's see. Yeah, see, look at this. It's slowing down to stop here. It thinks there's another stop sign here. So I am stepping on the accelerator because, I mean, thankfully nobody was behind me, but that is still an issue. I'm gonna report that. And a lot of people that are testing this don't have the camera icon in the upper right. The camera icon was left on my screen from when I first got full self-driving beta in October 2021. Elon Musk saw several of my tweets. So I'm an engineer. I love testing this stuff, and I did a lot of safety tests, and he saw some of my tweets, commented on them, liked some of my content, and then about a month later, I was added into the original group of beta testers. And as a result of that, I have that camera icon, and I get the releases before everybody else. Very honored and thankful for that. I know not everybody has that, and I know especially for the hardware 4 folks, they're still stuck on 11.4.4. So I'm very, very thankful to have what I have, and I know it's probably not going to last forever, but I'm not selling my car. I love this car to death. This is the best car I've ever owned, hands down. So coming up here, we're going to be turning left onto Westfield, this neighborhood area. Not that eventful. However, we're going to be getting back out onto the main roads to head over to that restaurant here in a little bit. But yeah, we're getting really close to our first waypoint. You're going to see here we're coming into this area. I'm not sure if it's going to take us, it doesn't look like it will take us into a cul-de-sac. The cul-de-sacs are interesting. I think I might actually try to force a cul-de-sac for us here. So I'm going to add this on the fly. Hopefully it doesn't screw up the driving. Sometimes it'll recognize it needs to do something and make a quick jerky movement. Okay, there we go. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna edit this trip, and I'm just gonna get rid of that second one. And say done. I got to do that quickly because it will complain seeing that I'm staring at the screen. Okay, so let's zoom in here. Okay, great. We're going to be turning right here and then going down into a cul-de-sac area, and I'm going to cancel it out as soon as we get into this area. I had one success with this previously, and I have not tested it since. So we're going to find out if it can really, in fact, get out of cul-de-sacs. For the longest time, it couldn't, and I'm thinking it may have been luck that we were able to do it before. Okay, so we're entering here. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of it. Now let's see what it can do here. Now it's going to recognize that we need to get out of here. So let's see, this is a very tight turn. Apply slight turn to the unable to complete maneuver. Please assist now. So I think I did get lucky getting out of the cul-de-sac previously. That was a flawless drive, and I was really enamored by the results of that drive. Now I know that it was in fact luck. At the end of that drive, I was literally freaking out because it was so perfect in every way. And this especially blew my mind getting out of a cul-de-sac. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to step on the accelerator and just see. Sometimes when it says unable to complete maneuver, it still can get out of it. So I'm going to step on it a little bit here. Let's just see. That tentacle is turning a solid blue. That's a good sign. It looks like it's kind of mapping a way to get out of here. Okay. It's really trying hard here. It needs to turn the steering wheel all the way over to the left. Okay, it is doing that. Okay, now I'm letting up. I'm not touching on it at all anymore. Looks like now it figured it out. So just a little bit of nudging and it did solve it. It got out of there on its own after I encouraged it to move forward a little bit. That was great. So it actually did it. I did not have to take over and drive manually. That was a great thing. Ooh, okay, we've got a tree here. Just going right over that tree stump. All right, so I do a replay here, slow motion at 30% speed. You can see the branch right there in the middle of the road. It goes right over it. I slow it down here and replay it one more time, zooming in on the visualizations, and you can see that it did not display it at all. And it didn't see that debris in the road at all, which is interesting. I mean, as a human driver, I probably would have gone around that a little bit more carefully. That was an interesting edge case for sure. I don't know if it's really worthwhile reporting that one because it's debatable whether or not that was appropriate. I want to say, I probably would have done the same. I probably would have slowed down a little bit more. My car made some noise. The construction worker did turn around to look because he heard it. But it wasn't that bad. And I was examining very closely because that little branch had some spikes on it, and I certainly don't want those damaging my tires or going up into my into the undercarriage area. The wheel, what do you call it? The wheel hub. I'm so bad with vocab, guys. the wheel under the wheel area. Okay, going straight here. So you can see now we're on a main road again, and we're just going to be going straight and then turning left. Pretty straightforward here. Going all the way down here and then turning left onto Higgins Road. So this is going to be an interesting road with just basically a bunch of lights and some variety with the traffic. You can see sometimes this happens on the roads. You can see the line juts to the left. I've had that show up on the maps before, and then what it will do is slow down. It thinks that the road is kind of ending there or that it has to move over. I've had interesting results with situations like that, and I'm not sure why it maps it like that. We're going to see if it does anything unusual coming up here at that spot. But so far so good. We had that one stop sign issue and then the cul-de-sac issue, and those are existing. Most of the things that have been problems are still problems today, and probably the biggest ones for me are merging on highways, getting out of the far left lanes, which are the passing lanes on the highways. And then still in busy urban environments, the handling around pedestrians and the lack of assertiveness creates a lot of awkwardness around other drivers, especially in a city where people are very impatient. That's still an issue. Okay, so here comes that little jut in the road. Let's see if it notices it or does anything. Nope, it just followed the lines. So take a look at this. We've got shadows on the road with all these trees, and it's just going straight through here without any care in the world. I love that. And this happened on the highway recently as well, where it was just going straight through a bunch of shadows on the road, and I was really impressed with that, and I continue to be impressed. That is not new. That's always been there. It has this human ability to ignore shadows, and that's an amazing feat in and of itself, in my opinion. How it does that, I have no idea, because interpreting a shadow, now here we go, another stop sign. It has a stop sign over there. Wow, so that had a stop sign on the other side, but it went through. It did not stop there for that. So maybe it has to do with that particular intersection being in a residential neighborhood area. Interesting. It totally ignored it. That was almost the same situation with a stop sign on both sides. But yeah, the ability to ignore shadows is really amazing to me. It can somehow recognize that it's not an object in the road. And that probably explains why sometimes when there is an object in the road, like a cardboard box or a branch like you saw earlier, that it just blasts right past it, thinking it's a shadow or something else that's irrelevant. So the ability to recognize obstacles or objects is a big challenging aspect of self-driving, because if you really think about it, a human driver in a very challenging situation where you have busy traffic on both sides and you have a squirrel, let's say, or gosh, it could be a turtle or whatever it is, but an animal of some sort, not too big, but some animal that definitely a human would avoid if they could. But in the case that there's other cars around, you would have to sacrifice that animal and just drive straight over it. But if there were no cars, then you would slow down and you would go around the animal. Now, full self-driving, the way it operates is regardless of whether there's cars around or not, if it's a small enough object or an animal, it will just plow right into it. So those situations too account for interesting edge cases where you really have to take over. I mean, I suppose if you don't care about other life, you can just let the car run stuff over, but a normal person would slow down or stop or go around something like that. Okay, so as you can see, there's not a lot of traffic on this road, which is great. We're not going to run up against too much stuff. We're stopping here at this stoplight. You know, I want to just comment real quick. A friend of mine just recently tried out full self-driving for the first time. He has a long road trip coming up, and he decided to subscribe for a month just to give it a shot. And his experience was really surprising. I think he wasn't expecting it to work so well. So if you've never tried it out before, definitely consider subscribing for a month just to give it a go. It is very practical in a lot of situations. There are areas where it does things that you wouldn't expect it to do, or it does things differently from what you would do, but everybody's threshold is different in that regard. So, you know, if you're new to testing it, you're obviously going to be treating everything like it's brand new, and if it's doing something that you don't want it to do, you're going to take over, or you're going to intervene naturally because you're just not used to it. You don't know how it's going to behave. But for people that have been testing it for a long time, they kind of know its limitations, and that's where I hope my videos are adding some value for people that may not have it, because there are certain areas where you do need to be aware that it's going to fail every single time. And then there are other situations where it's 50-50. Like sometimes, for example, when you're going through an intersection and the light turns yellow and you get stuck in the middle of the intersection. Sometimes it doesn't execute and go through smoothly and you have to step on the accelerator. I have a great example of that in my last video, which was filmed in Michigan. That's 50-50. You know, sometimes it does it perfect, sometimes it doesn't. But then there are other situations like U-turns and cul-de-sac and, you know, roundabouts, things like that that are not perfect, that have always presented problems. And I really hope that this version 12 with the all neural nets approach is going to resolve that, because it will really be taking into account the way humans drive through those areas. But imagine the data that you need, region-specific data that you would need to cover all that ground, because a roundabout in one state is not the same as a roundabout in another state. You're going to have minor differences. Maybe the signs are different. Maybe the exits or the entries are different. You know, you're going to have little things that are different. The lines on the road. All of these things are going to be different depending on where you are. So the data is going to have to come from sources in those areas. And not only that, but the people that are driving in those areas need to opt in to provide that data feedback to Tesla. So that's going to be a big challenge. And I think that's where it's really amazing to me that there are so many testers. I think there's over 400,000 testers across North America right now that are providing data to Tesla for free. Tesla's not paying any of us. In fact, it's the other way around, which is so amazing. People are paying for something that's not even fully released, and they're actually, becoming guinea pigs. And I've been mentioning that throughout all of my videos. Here we go. We're going through this intersection, green arrow, and it's going to have to get all the way over to the right, and we are all the way over to the right. It did that beautifully, and then right here is where we need to get over. Nobody behind us, really smooth, beautifully done. And this takes us to our final destination. So the drive-through here is on the right side, so I'm going to take over from here, and you'll be able to see I'm going to take the GoPro through the drive-through, but I am disengaging the automatic driving features from here, and you guys will see me in the next video. Thanks so much for watching. Appreciate all of your support. If you like my content, hit the like button, leave a comment below, and subscribe. Subscriptions go a long way. It helps support me and helps my channel to grow. Thanks so much, guys. See ya.